So far when it comes to cash outs. Many of you keep saying that you know that you'll surely win, but my encouragement is you have to increase your chances of winning by increasing the number of tickets. So as it is, the more the tickets, it also means that your chances will be greater. Star 439 hash should be your short code for the morning, and intermittently I'll be telling you how you have to keep increasing your stake. In the meantime, let me say good morning to a number of you already on our stream. And Patrick has already joined Isaac Forsen Morris, Maxwell Ansa, and a couple of you also. Kwekweron, good morning to you as well. I think I see you on the stream. But let me just introduce our discussants this morning. I have Kofi Tonto. Been a while I've seen you. Kofi Tonto, yeah, good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Great. How's the campaign going?
Excellent.
Okay,
Excellent.
Great. And then Elikem Kotoko is a regular on the show as well. And the two of them keep shuffling between the fields and then coming to help us do the discussions. Good morning to you, Mr. Kotoko. How are you?
Good morning, Roland. I could be better, you know. But when you wake up to news that within themselves there are internal fights and people who are closest to the vice president who should be jubilating that.
What you mean that because of the Wale thing?
Yeah.
Internal wranglings are normal. I think the NDC you experience it. So.
No, we didn't, not to that level, not with that alacrity. And more importantly, if you are a party follower and the people who are closest to the vice president, Gideon Boako, Mahama, are searching for or wanting to go to parliament, they do not want to rather help their boss win so that they will be closer and powerful at the seat of presidency. It should tell you that they see defeat and everybody wants to secure his own position. But it's sad the way it is all going. It's becoming a battle of family versus...
it's the voters who decide whether there will be defeat or not. That will be determined in December 7th.
I couldn't sit here for
him to just...
I mean, I work for the vice president as his political assistant. I'm not seeking for any position. There are hundreds of us who work in the campaign. There are tens who work as a support. There are so many people around him.
Wow.
You know, when you come into the campaign, there are so many people in the campaign. They are all pursuing...
Koko, can you pull the Wale video? Since it's become a subject of discussion.
No, it's not going to be a subject. We have a subject. I'm just making a quick comment that I work for him. There are people who work for him, who are supporting him. There are people in the campaign who are focused on the campaign. But people have a right to their own aspirations.
Oh, true.
And so if people are pursuing their own aspirations, what is the crime? Gideon has been in politics for quite some time. And Gideon has a right to pursue his political aspirations. So does Kabiru. He has a right to pursue his political aspirations. Maybe at a point in my life, I may want to pursue something. I don't see the crime.
You have told me you belong to 3 constituencies, right?
Yeah, I belong to Swame, Menshianov, and then Bekwai.
I remember that vividly. Do we have that video of the Wale incident? I don't know, how does the vice president feel about what transpired yesterday in Wale?
No, I haven't had a discussion with him yet, but I think...
Continue.
Yeah, so I think we should focus on the subject matters you gave us. You gave us 2 subjects.
Yes.
And we should focus on that.
All
we
right.
shouldn't allow
no ambushing
to tell us what to discuss this morning.
It's a devastating experience.
Well, you can focus on the devastating experience.
So certainly we'll take you to Wale and then we'll get to...
You have many in your party. Focus on that.
All right. Let's not get ourselves entangled in all this. I mean, certainly we'll discuss Wale at some point in time on the show, but not up for discussion. What's up for discussion, though, is the Ghana Bar Association, their formal speech by the president at that annual conference that's been convened in Kumasi, then making the suggestion that the president, by way of the implementation of the free SHS policy, needs to do something about it. But we had a swift reaction by the president. But we have to juxtapose all that within the complexities of what the reactions have been, parents on one hand, educational stakeholders on the other, and what needs to be done by way of the free SHS policy. Can we implement it continuously the way we have so far? Now, these are the 2 inserts.
While I concede that the free SHS is very good and revolutionary, however, equal attention must be given to basic education at the public schools to ensure that they are not left behind. The free SHS program must be means tested using the data compiled by the National Identification Authority so that rich parents do not suddenly transform to become peasant farmers, as in the days of old when we had the Cocoa Scholarship. Students from comfortable backgrounds who attended expensive basic schools must pay fees at the senior high school level so that resources are free to fully cater for the poor and vulnerable.
People who can afford to pay fees for the education of their wards should send them to fee-paying private schools. Public schools, that is schools funded by the taxpayer, should be free to all who would otherwise be unable to pay for their education. That is why the numbers of pupils who have access to secondary education has doubled since the introduction of the free senior high school policy, and that over 5.7 million persons have benefited from the policy since its inception. The full impact of this dramatic development will be felt in due course and will far outweigh the small number of privileged parents who can afford to pay for the education of.
And it's very simple. The president's position, many say. And Kofi Tonto, did he get a wind of what the Ghana Bar Association would have been saying before he reacted swiftly?
No, I don't know that for sure. I don't know what transpired behind the scenes, so I wouldn't be able to comment. But if you look at the video, you could see that the president had probably...
Scripted?
Yeah, because you could see that there was a switch in focus. If you look at the video well, a switch in focus to something else, and then he started commenting on it. So it could be that he scripted something. I'm not so sure. But I wouldn't be able to speak to what transpired behind the scenes. But I guess you want me to have a general comment on the issue?
Yes.
Okay.
In terms of, has this always and will this always continue to be the policy position of the president? And within the party itself, what internally usually is the thinking?
I think the thinking is very, we've stated it so many times, that as far as public schools, the government is committed to providing free education for all qualifying persons, as it stands, irrespective of their backgrounds. Once a child qualifies and goes into a public school, the government is committed to provide free education for that child. And that's been the policy we've implemented over the last 7.5 years. Of course, there have been people who've raised concerns about allowing those who cannot pay to pay. And I think that's what the president of the Ghana Bar Association was referencing. If you listen to the president very well, he mentions that there should be some form of means testing to identify who qualifies to get free education and who can pay to pay. But the question is, he didn't tell us the form of means testing that he is proposing. I don't know if there's more to the video, but from what you've played, he didn't go more into details as far as the type of means testing. How are we going to determine who's rich and who's not? Is Honorable Boafo going to tell us how to attain that? Perhaps if we have a more detailed conversation, we can reach that point. But as it stands, we are yet to have a system that allows us to say that Roland makes 90,000 cedis a year. Kofi makes 50,000. Elikem makes 200,000. And therefore, those who make above a certain threshold should be able to pay for their children. And those who make below should be able to access free education.
So that's a bone of contention.
That is a major contention, because how else are you going to determine who's rich? You sit here on TV. I'm sure there are so many people who think you probably have millions in your bedroom, no? As a politician, that is one of my issues. People think because they see me on TV, I'm rich. I'm sure Elikem will attest to the same. But you don't know my finances. And there ought to be a proper way to determine each person's finances. And that is the only way you can do means testing to establish that this person can afford or that person cannot afford. The issue that Honorable Boafo referenced about cocoa scholarships, etc. At that point, we provided that scholarship for cocoa farmers. Is that not so? And their children. But the question is, other people benefited because there was no proper way of determining who qualifies and who doesn't qualify. So if persons are calling for means testing, then we have to really have a discussion on what the means testing is going to be. Fortunately, we now have the Ghana card, which over time, the Ghana card has been turned into your tax identification number. So over time, maybe in the next few years, Ghana will get to a point where everyone is complying with filing their taxes. And then once people are filing their taxes, we can have a real solid document that allows the government to establish who has what within what.
So right now, there's no data.
Well, I mean, some persons file their taxes, but I'm talking about a critical mass of Ghanaians filing their annual taxes. That will serve as one of the key documents to determine who can afford and who cannot afford. As it stands, you will agree with me that we don't have that single data that determines that. And you can't just use salary because people have other liabilities. And that's why a tax return is the best form, which assesses liabilities and assets to see who has the capacity to pay and who doesn't. As it stands, we don't. And that is why we have said that we are going to provide free education for all Ghanaians. The question is, the rich child, so-called, I'm using it advisedly, that rich child is also a Ghanaian. That rich child can also become a doctor, can also become a police officer, can also become a value-added member of society who is giving back to the society. I don't understand.
Are you saying that before free SHS, we didn't have poor children becoming doctors?
No.
You're confusing me here.
No. Don't create a narrative. I'm saying that rich child that people are saying shouldn't benefit from free SHS because they come from a rich home. That person can also become someone who contributes to society. So there is no harm if government is giving education to all children, irrespective of their background.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, they are all going to become value-added members of society, just as the poor child, just as the rich child. Ultimately, we can get to a point in our lives, in our society, where we are able to determine who can afford and who can't. And then at that point, we can take that decision. But as it stands now, every child, every Ghanaian-born child who qualifies deserves to have education. And this government is going to provide education for every qualifying child. That is the point that I want to make.
All right. We have Executive Director for the Institute for Education Studies, Peter Ante joined. Dr. Ante, good morning.
Good morning, Roland.
And I understand you want to go for some classes because you have to go and earn your keep. So you want to do some clarifications before you go.
Sure.
Okay, so let me ask a question then. Generally, what is the pattern of expenditure for free SHS? What are the general sentiment among you, the educationists and parents, and how does that feed into the arguments being made, being the advocacy or perhaps the suggestion that if we are able to do segregation or disaggregate the population or the demographics of the beneficiaries, we can have into the future people who could pay or pay somewhat, and how can that also relate or influence quality and better management of the program?
All right, thank you very much, and good morning to your viewers and the panel. First and foremost, I want to make a point that a policy is as good as its sustainability. So you can have a policy that is very touching and it's making impacts in society, but that policy might not live the life that is supposed to live, and you might lose the policy along the way because of the inability to create sustainability measures and ensure that it is sustained throughout the period of the country or the life of the policy. So when analysts, education economists look at any policy of government, one of the things that they look at is how sustainable is this policy. When this policy was rolled out in 2017, one of the cardinal themes of the policy was equity. And anybody who is into education financing understand equity to mean help those who need the help and then assist those who do not need the help a little. So you don't pay for everybody. So in the first place, it is not we, the analyst, who said that you should pay for some people and then let those who can pay. It is the theme of the policy that communicated that. So equity in terms of funding, equity in terms of admission. So now we see that both females and males are entering secondary education, and the gender parity ratio is almost 1:1.2. Like more females are even accessing secondary education than males. So in terms of equity, you would realize that the policy did not meet the standard that has been set by the thematic areas that the policy was supposed to meet. And that was the first point that made people start making these comments. Again, you would also understand or realize that in 2017, when the budget was read, the Minister of Finance, the then Minister of Finance, indicated that there is going to be a voluntary fund that was going.
Hello, Dr. Ante.
Going to be who would want to pay. Yeah, can you hear me?
Please go ahead. You froze a bit. Just go ahead.
Yes, sir. People who would want to assist in funding the policy can work through this voluntary fund. That was the first time the policy that issue was mentioned, and that was the last time it was heard of. So there have been attempts by even people in government, by clergy and other people in society to suggest that there is a way, or there needs to be a way that you get additional funding to the policy. Why? From 2017 to 2023, the policy has been funded by two main sources. The first source of the policy is the GOG, what we call government, money coming from government coffers. Then the second source of the policy has been the ABFA, the annual budget funding
amount,
which is from the oil fund. Now, if you check the funding, the trend of funding, you will see that it is always 50-50, 60-40, and so on and so forth. Unfortunately or interestingly, about 2 years ago, I think 2022 or 2023, we could not fund the free SHS policy from the government coffers. We funded the free SHS policy solely from the oil resources, and that is 100% funding came from the oil resources. That communicated something to anybody who is into education finance. It means that if you are not careful, when your oil fund is not coming as it's supposed to come, and analysts have analyzed the income flow of the oil sector, and they have indicated that within some short period of time, that source is finite and might not be able to support the system as it's supporting now. So what we are faced with is the fact that government would have to fund this 100% in the event that the oil fund is not able to support the system. This is what brings in other ideas to suggest that you need to find ways and means to support the funding of the policy. And the communication has been that government can fund the policy by 60% and then find ways and means to get 40%, which is not coming from the government coffers, so that in the event that the government 60% is not going to the school, the 40% will come and then support, so the government is able to do that. Let me make this clear. Now, you go to the universities, the government give them subventions. The subventions don't on time. So anytime that the subvention is not in, the universities use their IGF, the internally generated funds, to support the system, to pay salaries and other things, till the IGF, the subventions comes, and then they put the money where it's supposed to be. This is the kind of idea thinking that is being moved by most of us, so that we will always have some sort of funding for the policy. Interestingly, if you look at the manifestos of the two main political parties, 11 items in there are similar or same. One of the 11 items is the funding of the free senior high school policy. And they have indicated that they will find sustainable source of funding for the policy, which means that they agree with most of us that the way we are funding the policy is not what? Sustainable. Okay. And that is what.
All right, Dr. Ante. So the argument about review, etc., is all because of funding sustainability, is that not it? Now, if that is the case, these suggestions that we've had over time, where parents are in a position, even beneficiary parents, say that you go to the schools, you see all these four-wheel drives around, and the intended policy argument at the beginning was that more poor people are going to so-called A-list schools. Now, if you're having PTA, you find that those who are so-called poor people or who are coming from poor backgrounds, you certainly will find them in their small numbers in some of the big schools, or if not all of the big schools. And you'll find that the same people who clamor at the background, in the absence of the headmaster and the teachers making input for more feeding, more funding, more donations in those schools, are those who are in position of authority and can pay. They clamor for it, but are not able to say it directly. So the question then is, if this is the position, how are we going to make sure somebody is determined to be able to pay, is categorized as maybe partially able to pay, and somebody is not able to pay at all? How do we do the means testing? Dr. Anti.
Roland, you know that I've personally written about this, and I heard, I think my brother Kofi also saying the same, raising the same argument that how do you do the means testing? It's just that our leaders are not ready to engage in that direction. I've written about this. Kofi Asari, my brother from Africa Education World, I've written about it. He's giving ways to do that. I've written about it. I've given ways to do that. Professor Ayite, I've written about it. He's giving ways to do that. I think Senior Franklin Kudjo, I've also written about it. He's giving ways to do that. So I don't want to even hear that argument that how do we do means testing. There are solid ways that we can do means testing. There are suggestions all over the place. Just have to Google and see the contribution of most of us to how we can do this. And let me give you a simple analysis. About 6-7 years ago, we rolled out the secondary school improvement program, the SAFE. And we selected over 10,000 students and gave them scholarship. My question is, how did we select them? These people were supposed to be poor people. We selected them from across selected communities in this country, and then we gave them scholarship, and they benefited from the secondary school improvement program. It's just a matter of, and I've said it, it's just a matter of that we want to, the president wants to ensure that the policy is implemented the way he wants it to be implemented. And that is where I was going with my analysis. That he feels that you do not have to discriminate between those who have and those who do not have. And as such, everybody who enters the public school system should be allowed to pay. But he forgets that there are dynamics in our school choice system. In Ghana, at the basic level, people prefer the private school to public schools. And the reason is simple, because of quality. Interestingly, when you move to the secondary school level, it's the reverse, because most of the secondary schools are of high quality. And so at the secondary school level, you see most of the people who entered private schools at the basic level now switching to the public school system. So it is not their choice that they want the students to be in public schools. It's because of the quality that is being provided there. But now when they feel that the quality is being tempered with, they feel that the students who are entering these schools are not giving the requisite food, and then they are not having the requisite dexes, and they have challenges in their dormitories. And let me give you a simple example. When the president was at Wesley Girls, I think this year or last year, the students told him, the minister was sitting there, they told them that they at Wesley Girls, and I always want to use that example, that the students now come to class with the plastic chairs. Okay, in the dormitories, some of the students were sleeping on the floor. The students there told the president and the Minister of Education. That was the communication that was given to them. That tells you that a lot of people have gained access to a secondary school system, but because of the burden of funding of the policy, the basic things that they are supposed to get to ensure that they are comfortable in the schools are not there. And it's because of the burden of funding of the policy. Okay. So why don't you open up and allow, I'm not saying even parents, allow a certain mode of organized funding, so that even if you say those who want to pay, how do they pay? How do they contribute to the schools? How would you
No, he says that you can pay, but go and pay to a private entity. That's the policy position of the president. I think that you've opened a can of worms, so you cannot go and earn your living now. Please wait. Let's do one more round before you go, okay? So give me some 15 minutes. Elikem,
all right, sure.
Is it why a call for review has been misconstrued? Because you clearly look at, I have reliable information that when the Ghana Bar Association president was speaking, the president was taking notes. So clearly, we've had at least some level of intrusion into his mind, but he's still very adamant, so to speak.
Yeah, Raymond, Roland. I don't know why I'm calling you Raymond today.
I'm sure you have a relative or a brother called Raymond.
There's this young man called Prince Adam Frank Kotoko who says he's watching, and I should say good morning to him.
Yes, sir.
My little boy who was involved in a little car accident, but he's okay. So he said he's watching today. Roland, this whole debate is some needless exercise that has actually been embarked on.
Needless?
Yes, by blind loyalists of the regime who failed to appreciate comprehension when the former president, in the first year of the MPP's coming to power, made mention that there will be need for wider nationwide consultation before the implementation of the free SHS. And then further, he along the way also said there will be the need for the free SHS to be re-looked at carefully and reviewed. Then suppose sane human beings went onto the streets, screaming, saying that President Mahama said when he comes, he will cancel free SHS. That was their definition and comprehension of review. As a result, party faithfuls, as again, blind loyalists, had no choice but to follow the way of their bigwigs and also keep saying that President Mahama and the NDC says they will cancel free SHS.
We're talking about the Ghana Bar Association. Why?
Yeah. Yes, I'll come to that. And it made it so difficult for them to therefore appreciate the fact that there's need for us to look into the free SHS and identify the teething problems. 8 years down the lane, we now want to be talking about teething problems. You should be talking about teething problems, probably even in the first year, second or third year. But they failed to listen to us at that time. Now, the president at the Ghana Bar Association said that if you want if you complain about the free SHS, then you should consider the private schools. He is missing the point. The concern of many parents and the Ghanaians at large is that quality has dropped, and that is a major area of concern for many. You can't say you are giving free SHS and therefore everybody should go to school and make it quantitative rather than qualitative. I mean, you would agree with me. If you listen to our senior high school students today speak even common English, you will marvel, you will wonder, you'll be disgusted that is it the teachers who are not teaching them well because the teachers are not even well taken care of, or it is the students who are just being produced on mass production. And this is a worrying concern that we must speak about. And so when Ghanaians are raising concerns, the president seems to have missed the goalpost to rather say that if you have a concern, then go to private schools if you can afford it. It is not only about that. If you want to give a certain service to the people and you admit that it is a public service, it is the taxpayers' money, you must put it to good use. You can't just rubbish it in our face and produce any shabby thing and say that this is free SHS, take it the way you like it or not.
So Elikem, the question then is, why shouldn't anybody countenance the president's position that if you want to pay, then go to the private sector?
That is why if the NP...
Is it because the quality of food is bad or what?
If this regime had listened to good counsel, don't forget their former, one of the failed finance ministers we ever had, Ken Oforiatta, did admit at the very initial stages that if he also believes that it should be analyzed in a way for those who can afford to be able to be allowed to pay. The former president, President Kufuor's younger brother, Ado Kufuor, also said same. Many stalwarts within the MPP also said same. In fact, if you want us to go back to history, there's one Italian sociologist and economist, Vilfredo Pareto. Vilfredo Pareto said that, look, he believes that his principle has been that 20% of the world's population possess 80% of the world's land. This principle has been applied in many instances where we can say that, well, maybe 20% of the people who are accessing free SHS are eligible or are capable of making payment. But you must put in measures that would assess them. And I get surprised when people who said they are competent managers, etc., can no longer tell us now that they have been able to identify measures where they are putting in place to assess who qualifies and who does not qualify. You can even request for people's tax clearance certificate. You can request for people's jobs and etc. Find various ways, like the other gentleman said on the platform. Franklin Kujo and many others have put out a lot of papers there that tells how you can go about it. But because the ultimate aim was just to harvest a certain class of people to win votes, there is no need to critically look into the matters, but let's just produce en masse and then continue to harvest the votes the way we want it. This is the reason why we find ourselves here. So I found the president's posturing to be very snobbish, very intolerant, and another further driving home of the fact that he is very arrogant. He has failed to sit back, listen
He's
carefully.
arrogant because he reacted to a policy. You say that he should change the structure of implementation?
Yes, his reaction alone tells you that he still does not have an appreciation of the actual concerns of the Ghanaian. Kofi, myself, and my brother here, and you, we are younger people. We believe that the concerns of the Ghanaian is about the quality. I mean, if you go to the secondary schools now, what is the quality of the food that is provided them? What is the quality of education given them? When you take the teachers, how well are we preparing these teachers who must be of sound mind to be able to impact to these children? We only keep saying numbers have doubled, and we are proud to continually say that the numbers have doubled. No wonder they keep calling them Akufo-Addo graduates, because these are people you want to harvest for votes, and therefore, for some reason, you want to.
You cannot make that conclusion. They are Ghanaians, they are children of anybody who supports even MPP and NDC.
Yes.
So and they are in the schools. They are even they are children of people who even support all the parties, including Movement for Change and the Alliance.
It is the reason why I'll keep stressing that. That is more reason why quality is of importance to everybody, including those of us sitting around the table here.
Okay.
And 8 years down the lane, you cannot be telling us that you still compromise quality for quantity, and you want us to take it line, hook, and sinker. There's the need for you to sit back, listen to the views of many who are saying that, look, you are compromising on so many things. Sustainability of the program is also another. Up to date, you only keep saying that you want to make it sustainable. Yes. Why has it taken you so long? Make sure quality is there. Accessibility, yes, we know. But you must put in the requisite requirements that will make it quality. Look, our education system is now in shambles. The quality of students we are churning out, when they even go to the universities, that also becomes another major problem for us. And we need to look at all of this. So the president should come again. He missed the goalpost. He ought to listen carefully to the concerns raised by Ghana, not to rather refer them to private schools. After all, those who can afford the private schools already have sent their children to the private schools. This is common knowledge. This doesn't require a septuagenarian to be telling us. And of his age, he should have known better that the people who can afford already are sending their kids.
We've been joined by Nania Sapong, and he's with the Movement for Change. Nania, good morning to you. Good morning. And thank you for joining us. Let me have an insight of the first time the finance minister at the time, Ken Ofori-Atta, back in 2017, I believe, or made that suggestion. Later, it created a furore, and it was on the point of view Bernard Avle on City TV at the time.
Free education, I don't think it's something that any of us can compromise on, you know, and true, it may be that there have to be changes in the way in which we are administering it. You know, I can't take my child to Achimota or Dogono and then leave him or her and drive away and Ken Ofori-Atta not pay anything, whilst I can pay for 10 people. We need to.
So why did you implement it then?
We need to question. Well, you need to begin to get the data to then be discriminatory in how and who pays and who doesn't pay.
But you could have done that before, Ken.
I'm not sure that we have. If you
start with the free SHS and then now you're saying, okay, 90,000 have come on board, but there are a lot of people who have benefited who could have paid.
Yeah.
So why didn't you get the data before you started the policy? Now we're told we're going to have a multiple stream of admission.
You're actually going to have maybe 180,000 more people.
So 2018. And following that, we have a comprehensive research also done by the Africa Education Watch. And Kofi Tonto, it said that an average of 6,477 Ghana cedis, which is 4,771 Ghana cedis more than government expenditure on these students under the free SHS program, has been added to the financial burden of parents. And as a result, parents will have to cough up extra monies to be feeding their children, if they can, in many of the schools, whether they are even grade A, grade B, or even grade C schools.
Okay, so you are saying that parents are contributing? Is that what the report is saying? I haven't seen the report.
Okay.
And I would like to see the report and read
All
it
right.
and digest it before I comment on that report.
But are you aware that parents are spending enormous amount extra to be able to keep their schools in their bodies?
You are reading it to me.
Okay.
And I'm saying that I would love to see the report, read
So
the
you
report.
even let's forget about the report. Are you aware that parents are spending extra money to be able to sustain?
I'm saying that I am not aware of the enormous extra amount that you are saying parents are paying. And I'm saying that I have to read the very report you just read to me.
Let's forget even about the report. I'm asking you, are you aware that their parents that parents are paying extra for their parents for their children's upkeep in the schools?
I'm saying that I am not aware.
All right.
So I have to see the report to understand what they are saying. Of course, if children go to school, a parent will contribute one way or the other. They may buy something for their child or something. But I have to see precisely what the report is saying. What payments are parents paying? What are they paying for? So I can make an informed contribution on the issue. But as a parent, even if government gives me free education, I may still want to buy a shirt for my child. I may still want to buy something for my child. That's a decision of the parent. So parents may contribute one way or the other in their own choice. But you are reading a specific report, and I would love to see that report. Then I can make an informed decision.
Nani Alsapong, so it looks like the government is turning a blind eye on parents being burdened extra economically by way of the purchasing power to be able to support their wards in schools, despite a free SHS policy. Is that the case?
Roland,
and is that worrying?
Good morning. It is worrying. But first of all, let me state our standpoint, Movement for Change and the Alliance for Revolutionary Change. Our standpoint.
Your standpoint on what?
On free SHS. And then if you read the page 67 of our Great Transformational Plan, the Allen Bible, it says that conduct a comprehensive review of the free SHS program with a view of improving its operationalization, particularly in respect of financial sustainability. 2, infrastructural requirements. 3, curriculum development. 4, capacity building for teachers and non-teaching staff. And 5, transitioning free SHS graduates to tertiary education and the world of work. So this is our standpoint. This is what we think free SHS should go through. A comprehensive review. First of all, we are not the first people to call for a comprehensive review of the free SHS. I think that NAGRAT has called for a comprehensive review.
Indeed, the whole teacher unions.
The teacher unions have all called for a comprehensive review.
UTAG?
UTAG is called, and for that matter, as a government, there is a need to sit and look at why everyone or those stakeholders are calling for a comprehensive review. Now, every policy, for it to actually go on and for it to be sustained, need to have a sustainable source of financing. The free SHS has 2 main sources of financing. That is the budget and the GOG. Now, how sustainable are these 2 sources? Looking at what is happening, the finance minister, I think in his 2024 budget, Amin Anta said that we've spent about 9.9 billion Ghana cedis since implementation of the free SHS. And I do not think that he made that paragraph just for the sake of it and to tell us how much we are spending. In the spirit of the wordings of what he did read, What he's trying to tell us is that this is how much we are spending. Is this sustainable? Can we not do anything about it? Are we actually able to provide the infrastructure, the needed support to be able to sustain the free SHS? What was the reason for this free SHS? The reason, every policy has a reason. Every policy has an objective. Every policy has a purpose to fulfill. The free SHS came in when many Ghanaians at the time could not actually pay for the awards to go to school. So we're bringing to par the rich and the poor to all have at least secondary education. And so if the reason was to bring up the poor in society to an equal educational level with the rich, and for that matter, we would
not necessarily the rich, those who can afford.
Those who can afford, let me put it that way. And then we would afterwards make them all not pay. Then I do not think we have achieved the main purpose for the policy.
No, the main purpose is to get those who cannot, as you've categorized, into schools. And that is being achieved.
Of course, we've doubled, quadrupled enrollment. But what I'm saying is that the reason behind the free SHS was because some people could not afford. So let us help them to come at par with those who can afford. Now we are helping them, and in the implementation, we are making those who can afford not also pay. Then we are not doing nothing. I attended Tamale Secondary School.
Tamale School?
Yes, one of the finest schools. Now, in the north, those days, we had the Northern Scholarship. I am a full-fledged Ashanti man. Ejisapon. In my class, we had about 80% of the people not paying fees, because the scholarship was actually for northern students.
Okay.
I wasn't a northerner. The reason for the northern scholarship was, one, to encourage education there, and also to bring a par, because at the point, the thinking was that it was expensive. Okay, so we would make it free for you. It doubled and quadrupled enrollment in the secondary schools there. But then we who came from the south and had admissions into those same public schools were made to pay. And I'm just drawing our attention to the fact that if indeed we want to actually do the categorization of those who can pay and those who cannot pay, and we are serious about it, we can be able to do it.
Now, let me give you an example. How can we do that?
In the universities, you attended a public university, didn't you? We have the fee paying and we have the non-fee paying. Anambra. We have people who do medicine in the same class. We have the fee paying students, the non-fee paying students. How did we get there? How are we able to categorize these two students? One should pay, one should not pay. Fortunately, at least I can give a family example. You understand? We have one we paid, one we didn't pay. How are we able to do all this categorization? I believe if indeed we want to, and of course, the president responded to the Ghana Bar. I think that what he should have done was probably to call for a national dialogue on it, and not to just quote and unquote rubbish what the Ghana Bar was calling, because they are not the only people that have called for. In one of the interviews, I think Ken Oforiatta himself, some time back, in one of his international trips, also called for a review. He said that, that was when the free SHS had started, I think in 2017 or so. He said, in his view, he was thinking that, listen, they could do better. If there is a review of the implementation strategy, it would be better. Roland, if you go to these public schools, the reasons why we love to take our children to secondary schools that are public schools, that the quality of teachers there, you understand, the quality of teaching and learning that goes on in the public schools at the secondary level, not at the basic level. There are differences. Most parents would love to take their wards to private basic schools. But when going up into the secondary schools, they do not want. It's even recently that people have started having so much hope in private universities. In those days, people did not even have hope in private universities. So the point here is, Ghanaians love public senior high schools. Are we able to categorize them? If my ward, if you are paying for $3,000 for your ward to attend a private school in Accra or in Kumasi or in Tamale, I do not want to mention names of the schools, and after that school, your ward is receiving a free SHS, just like myself, Nanea, whose ward attended a Bethel Methodist in Tamale. Oh, my school. So I attend Bethel Methodist. Your ward attends an international school, pays $3,000 or $4,000 a term, and then we go to meet at the secondary school, and we are all set to be free or be on government scholarship. That would not be fair. And that is what is affecting the education financing. If some parents were made to pay, I do not think the educational sector will be facing some of these infrastructural difficulties. I do not think they will be facing some of these commodity difficulties and feeding difficulties they are going through.
Okay.
There should be a comprehensive review of the free SHS.
Dr. Ante, now, as I let you go, what are the teething problems that have been identified which are as a result of the lack of or adequate funding of the program? And as a result of that, they are the causal factors, and so need to be corrected with a review to look at the financing options.
Well, the first issue is that because there is over-concentration of resources at the secondary school level, other subsectors in the education sector are suffering. And the president of the Bar Association put it succinctly that basic education is suffering. And I think TV3, you've done series of engagements on that. There's been lack of funding of our basic education system, and because of that, the foundation on which we are building our educational system is weakened. The reason is that you are concentrating a lot at the secondary level, and you know that resources are scarce. So there's opportunity cost. The more you shift resources to one sector, other sectors would also suffer that. So that is the first reason why we need to take a second look at the funding model that we have adopted. Again, we know that there's been serious issues with feeding. Of course, when you talk about this, you get people come and tell you that it is not true. But we have seen reports, we have seen students, we have seen parents complaining about the nature of feeding in the school. We have also seen challenges in terms of infrastructure. Now, all these challenges can be averted if, as I've indicated earlier on, there is a sustainable mode of funding that supports the government's contribution to the policy. And what that mode of funding would have done would be that in the event that the money from the government is delayed, because that is what normally causes the challenges with the feeding. When government is not paying those who supply the food, then they are also reluctant to release the food to the schools. So if there is another source of funding, which is not coming from government, then when that money is not coming, that small money that is coming from other areas can be used to support the financing of the policy. So the government is able to find its way around and get money to be sent to the schools. We have also seen the challenge with double track, which is as a result of infrastructure challenges. We've seen a considerable expansion, but still we still have that challenge.
All right. Okay. No, it's not. It's not. It's off. That's a delay feed. Okay. So Kofi Tonto, just let's say in 3 minutes. It means that the Bawumia campaign, the policy position is, according to what the present position is, that's a continuation?
The Bawumia position is to protect and enhance free SHS.
What does it mean?
Now, I'll come to that. Now, let me make a few comments because I find it very interesting. There is this broader argument being made on this table that prior to free SHS, there were no issues with education or secondary education in this country.
Who made the argument?
Okay. This is what you said. if some were made to pay, I do not think we will face accommodation, feeding, etc. Issues that we are having now. That is what you said.
Yes.
Yes. So what you are saying is that when some were paying, we didn't have these challenges.
When we were paying.
When we were paying, that's what you said. You said that if some are made to pay now, we wouldn't have the accommodation, feeding, etc. charges, the challenges.
Can I engage you for a second?
Okay.
So what has brought about the infrastructural deficit in the senior
No,
high school?
I'm not.
Hold on
no,
a
no,
second.
No, 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 no,
a second.
no, no, no.
Okay,
It's-
you let
it's
it.
me on the floor, not you.
No,
you are not on the
Please,
floor.
note it,
No,
note
you are
it,
not on the
note it. I give it 3 minutes.
The point I am making is that you sat here and said if people were paying, we wouldn't have these challenges. And I'm putting it to you
Hey, you do good.
that in our history, educational history, when people were paying, we had issues. Is that a fact or not? Is that a fact or not? It's a fact. Nobody here can dispute that prior to free SHS, we had issues with accommodation, we had issues with feeding, we had issues with all other aspects of education, free education in this country, being it basic, being it senior school, senior high school, or etc. That is not to say that if there are
What type of teething problems?
I'm saying that is
and
not
are they
to
comparable to the?
Comparable in what sense? The severity of it? Are you saying that we had one accommodation issue, today we have 5? Is that what you are saying, the severity of it? What are you saying?
No, you are saying the where, and I'm saying what type of.
I've already told you the type.
And you are measuring it with the severity. So I only asked
No,
a
I'm
question.
saying that it is a fact that before free SHS, we had issues with our education, being it accommodation, being it infrastructure, being it feeding, etc. We had issues with our education at the senior secondary school level. It is a fact. And I'm saying that, yes, now we have challenges, but let nobody create the impression that when people were paying, we didn't have challenges. That is the point that I want to make. That there's also the comment of harvest, etc. I mean, all of these.
That food supplies.
No. It's saying that we harvested children to come and vote. Quite derogatory. I mean, how can you say we harvested children to come and vote? We are trying to educate young Ghanaians so they can improve their lives. They can have a better life. An educated child is positioned to do better than an uneducated child. So my point is this. My brother Auntie raised an issue about contribution. I had a question for him.
It's gone.
Per their analysis, how many Ghanaian parents are able to pay? Because he said that they've done the analysis. How many Ghanaians are able to pay? I would like to know that. And if we aggregate the number of Ghanaian parents who are able to pay, how much does it come to in terms of contribution to the overall spend? Because we can't just have people saying that some Ghanaians can pay. How many Ghanaian parents can pay? We need to know. Because if we are going to make an informed decision that some Ghanaians can pay, and that if they pay, we will no longer have issues with education in Ghana, then I need to know how many Ghanaians can pay and what that totals to in respect to the total spend of education. The minister has said that we've spent 9.9 billion Ghana cedis on education. So if some Ghanaians can pay, Ghanaian parents can pay, how much of that 9.9 billion can people pay? Then we can begin to analyze and see that, okay,
that has been the spend so
yes,
far. Yes,
because the president made a statement at the very end of his comment. He said that, I forgot the word he used, but he was saying that a minute percentage of Ghanaian parents can pay, can afford to pay. If you play back to the end, he says it, that he recognizes that some parents can pay, but those who can pay is very minute. So are we saying that if that minute percentage pay, then we can be able to solve all issues with free SHS? I don't think so. My final comment is, we are not against improving free SHS. In fact, no policy can go for 8 years without some form of review, one way or the other. You do review as you go along. Every single policy, you do review one way or the other. Being it the curriculum, being it infrastructure, being it whatever. You do some form
in the
review.
lifeline of the implementation of the policy. Has it ever occurred?
Yeah.
Or has it ever happened that there was the argument being made like this, even within the corridors of the ministry or government or at the cabinet level, where some of these arguments were advanced?
Which arguments? I've said
in terms
so many
of
things,
review, because of the financing, because of the feedback.
But experts, and I even recall people who are in charge of it saying that throughout the policy, I mean, this is a given. Roland, you can't implement any policy. You can even argue that at a point, students were coming in, government said, okay, the intake is going too high, let's do a double track. That's a new way of looking at solving the problem. Ultimately, government said, okay, now we've been able to absorb so many, we've been able to build so much infrastructure, now we can take some schools off the double track. That's also another form of review. Unless people want to tell us that in their estimation, review only happens when you are dealing with finances. That's the only way of review. Haven't we reviewed curriculum? Haven't we reviewed curriculum in this country to include senior high school? Haven't we reviewed even how we train our teachers in terms of licensure? Haven't we done so many other reviews? So it is absolutely not true for anybody to say that we haven't reviewed the policy. We are talking about a group of people who categorically stated that free SHS is a scam. And this morning when I came here, I was listening to your show and messages were coming in, oh, that nobody has said that they are against free SHS. Is that an accurate statement to make, that nobody has said that they are against free SHS?
You mean from the callers?
No, you were text messages that you were reading.
From those who were watching?
Yeah. But even now, the NDC somehow have metamorphosized into a new position that, oh, we've never said that we are against free SHS. We are just saying that we should review. We are just saying that we should improve. You have said that free SHS is a scam. You have run 16 commercials against free SHS. You have openly said that you are against free SHS. That it is not a good policy and it is a 419 scam. So how then do you all of a sudden pretend and lie that you even brought free SHS in this country? And that all of a sudden you care so much for free SHS and you have the solution to solve free SHS. You don't. We are going to maintain free SHS. We are going to enhance it. Look at where there are challenges. We are going to enhance it and protect free SHS for all qualifying Ghanaians.
So, Elikem, at the end of the day, the position of government is that it has to be free for all, and the reviews will only be done intermittently, as they have done.
Roland, well, I didn't know that your 3 minutes you gave him was actually 8 minutes. In any ways, you see, we have consistently said that there was a need for a review. In the first place, right from 2017, President Mahama said there was a need for you to have a nationwide consultation. And prior to 2016 elections, we made it clear, talk about running 16 commercials, etc. There were positions against the free SHS because of some of these problems. For instance, your former education minister was trying to impose on us compulsory, something sexuality education. Did we? That is part of the review you wanted to do.
Oh, come on.
To impose homosexuality, gayism, and lesbianism on us. The form of education you wanted for Ghana. And you, as a young person, are proud today to say that today. And it's an indictment on you further.
Have I said anything about homosexuality?
You talked about review. And I'm giving you an example.
But you should correct him.
No, the comprehensive education.
The comprehensive sexual education.
It is not. Let's be categorical. No, let's be categorical. It is not part and has not been announced to be part of the curriculum of free SHS or whatever.
There was a major
attempt. Let's take that from.
There was a major attempt. No, there was a major attempt.
There was,
but for the vigilance and the resistance of Ghanaians.
There was an intention and announcement for comprehensive sexuality education.
Yes.
And there was, following the backlash, a clarification by the Minister of Education.
Which never made sense, and they had to recall it.
But let's also state here categorically, it was not a direct policy intention for the management, the education, and teaching and learning for senior high school.
No,
let's be categorical about it. Please move on.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, you don't want to say anything about that, but I need to remind our viewers on that was part of the reviews you understood for even our education.
You mean that is your position?
That was what they would term as review. Okay. Number two, look, it's a further indictment on your integrity sitting here today as a political advisor to the vice president.
I'm a political assistant.
Assistant. I don't know what exactly that means.
Please let's not go personal by attacking personalities.
No, don't worry.
No. You have created so many positions for yourselves, and you are not able to realize that somebody was saying that they have done research and they've seen that a few people can pay and all that. You, as a political assistant, should be able to go out there to make these findings and tell the vice president, so that they know. You are a political assistant. It is your duty, you and your other guys, to go out there, conduct such research, and don't forget, or for the benefit of hindsight, you are in power. You have implemented a policy. You are now expecting only to rely on research findings by other people in order to better. No,
he said that based on information or feedback, and I suppose that would be research. There have been reviews that have been done.
Yes, Roland.
And he has mentioned even the new curricular reforms that have been introduced, including licensure, etc.
He consistently kept saying that
those are policy decisions to improve education.
He consistently kept saying he wants to know from them how many people can pay. Because even the president made us know that only very few people can pay. You are supposed to churn out that information as the one who is implementing that policy. So you shouldn't be waiting for an independent person to come and tell you, then you want to even dispute it. Oh, I'm not privy to this research, therefore I cannot comment to it. But what have you found out yourself? Or yourselves as people in government? It is the reason why we find ourselves here. People are being paid for no jobs being done.
Have found out.
So
maybe you are not listening.
What did you say?
Please conclude for me. Yeah.
You get it. So I find it very worrying and troubling. But you see, permit me a minute to conclude by saying that I was also very devastated when I heard the president in his statement say that it was up to Ghanaians to decide whether please, you are not the moderator. You are not the moderator.
No. What are you talking about? Is it on free SHS?
No, it's not.
No, let's not digress. Please end your submission. No, please. Let's end your submission on the free SHS.
Okay, on the free SHS, it is very worrying when you listen to them, and we have all stated it clearly, that people in government seem not to even have any knowledge how the matter ought to be addressed. It is on record, the President Mahama, in the first year of your implementation, made it so clear that there is need for you to have a nationwide consultation. And interestingly, the former finance minister, who also believed that there was a need for that kind of engagement to segregate those who can pay and those who cannot pay. Interestingly, his own children were immediately benefiting from government scholarships. The finance minister. Don't say, if you are proud of that, the poor people who have you heard of the scholarships, the scandals all around the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat and all of that? But the major concern is that you guys gradually are gravitating towards the fact that we must all admit there's need for a review. What do we need to review? We need to review the quality. We need to review the curriculum. We need to review even accommodation for them. You need to really look at your position on abandoning the various community day SHS that were built. If you had continued them over 8 years, you would have finished them.
We've built 30 of them.
By now,
we've built 30 of them. We've actually built dormitories, etc.
By now, you would have completed.
I can even list it.
By now, you would have completed dormitories.
I'll list it
in order to ensure.
And then there are even new facilities that have been built also.
Exactly.
Yes, specialized even schools across the country.
Even when we talk about the specialized, I'm sure you want to talk about the STEM, right? In a sane regime, what you ought to rather do was to associate these terms to schools, not have them stand out as special schools differently.
But that's a policy direction of the government.
This is why we always miss them.
You mean your position is that there shouldn't be special schools?
It should be attached to the schools so that all secondary schools should have STEM facility. In that case, when President Rawlings had to introduce the science education to improve our education, what did we do? The science resource centers were attached to most of the schools. It enabled us to improve further as a whole.
But that's the policy position of the government.
It is what has made us misstep and get ourselves in the wrong directions.
I get your point. But at the end of the day, let me just give you 2 minutes, you wrap up. You said something on Galamsey for me. You start so that we can quickly just end it. Yes.
Alaji once said, one mistake
who is Alaji?
Correct.
Who is Alaji?
From current administration
Who is
is
Alaji?
infrastructure challenges facing free SHS.
Please start again for me. Who is Alaji?
Those contestants, we have only one Alaji.
Okay, you mean Dr. Baumia?
Alaji Dr.
All right,
Baumia.
please go ahead. He once said what?
He once said, one mistake I will correct from current administration is infrastructure challenges facing free SHS. Now, you see, Roland, let us not blind ourselves with politics. You are introducing or implementing a policy that would increase, after a research and everything, that would increase enrollment to more than a 50 or 60%. And you want to tell yourself that you would not face infrastructural challenges. And when the implementation of the policy is facing challenges and groups, unions, stakeholders have come out to say that if you had allowed a certain window of review, and allowed certain individuals pay, probably it could have helped channel those finances into infrastructural development and other avenues. And you come to tell me that I'm saying that.
So what you're being told, or all of us are being told, is that determining how many campaigns cannot pay.
Prior to this, education was still facing challenges. Yes, prior to free SHS, education was facing infrastructural challenges. But then we never heard of students sleeping in abandoned lavatories. We never heard of...
That was actually proven to be a lie. Let's not allow this to go on.
Please go ahead.
Haruna Idrusu actually went to the school and proved that was a lie.
Please go ahead.
Let's correct it.
Please go
Let's not peddle lies on a big platform. It was
Prior to
proven
this,
to be a lie.
we didn't also hear that
you need to correct him on that.
there was
Haruna Idrusu
a certain thing called double track traffic light system. It was all as a result of the double and quadruple enrollment. No one is saying that free SHS is bad. Never. But all we are saying is that let us have a comprehensive review of it. Let us look at it and understand how we're going. Roland, you want me to talk on
the UTAC position is that if we don't have a temporary ban now, they are hitting the streets.
What?
Or they are going
UTAC
on some form of picketing or a strike or laying down their tools.
When I read their
statement
yesterday, one thing hit my heart. I said, where has UTAC been all this while? Where are the other labor unions? Where are Ghanaians? Where are the youth of this country? Our today is being destroyed. Our tomorrow is being destroyed by certain greedy individuals who do not think beyond today. Roland, I think last week, your producer called me. Unfortunately, I was out of town. I had to do some few rounds because of these nominations that we have actually picked. And of course, Alan Shramantin will be presenting his nominations to the EC tomorrow, Wednesday, the 11th.
Tomorrow.
At about 4 p.m. And I know your cameras will be there to capture that.
4 p.m.
Yes, we will be expecting you. Roland, traveling using the roads, my heart was saddened. I wish I could have brought you some of the water, not the camera ones.
Well, we went there, so we had
so you saw it. When you say it's only be a cocoa saying,
an Indian or correct.
Let's be real.
They're very milky.
Yeah. And if you're not careful and we fetch it into a tea mark,
you think it's Lipton mixed with...
think it is Lipton mixed with milk.
That's true.
And that is how destructive and that is how destroyed our water bodies and land has become. And this is as a result of leadership failure. Let us not mince words. This is as a result of leadership failure. I stated yesterday on one of the networks, I said, this is the only thing that a certain president has stated, that he is putting his seat on the line to fight to fight, yet he couldn't fight it and he still seated on as a president. That is Ghana for you. But then what has been the stance? We have a lot of regulations to fight galamsey. But Roland, what is the cause of this galamsey? Is a lack of jobs by the youth. They have nothing doing. If they have no jobs doing, then at the end of the day, they would end up in those holes and in those pits, destroying our water bodies. What is the government policy on job creation? In fact, how do they even intend to honestly fight galamsey? The Sakawa sort of fighting galamsey.
You mean the interministerial mining committee, etc.? They all
are they
Sakawa
telling us? But you drive. When you were going to the galamsey site, you drove from the site to the main road. How many meters is it? Did you not stand by the main road to see the excavators working? Do you need a miracle to drive those people out? And do we need an interministerial committee to go and drive them out? When there are regulations and rapports.
Just 2 minutes on this. Let's stick to the 2 minutes. Now, UTAC has joined the fray.
No, I mean, look, I fully condemn illegal mining, especially those.
I'm told you know people who are perpetrators as well.
Oh, how? Who told you that?
There are people who have been...
Who told you I know people who are doing illegal mining?
I'm told you know people as well because you operate in government. And there are government operators who have been mentioned across
please,
reports.
I don't know anybody who's into illegal mining. I fully condemn illegal mining in all of its... Oh, sorry. In all forms of it. Especially those doing it in our water bodies. And I think we've proposed solutions. But because of time, I won't be able to go into it. So I fully condemn illegal mining. I don't think it is something that we should support in any way, shape, or form. We must condemn and punish those who are involved in it. Mining in itself is not a crime, but people must mine responsibly. I am all for responsible mining, and I am fully against anybody doing any form of illegal mining in our water bodies. Even if you are MPP, I don't care. I'm against it. We have to.
You mean even if the reports indict?
Yeah. No, I'm saying
people that you know.
Not that even if people I know. Who do I know? I don't know anybody doing illegal mining.
All right.
So why do you keep saying that? I don't know anybody. There are people in NDC who are doing illegal mining. In fact, they went into the pits and told them that they will allow them to mine. President Mahama said that he will give them amnesty to mine again. He said that, So please, let's not even go there. But lastly, I wanted to make a few quick comments on education. Roland, a report put out by Kofi Assare's team says that from 2017 to 2022, this government had invested 100 billion Ghana cedis in education. 100 billion. Looking at average spend by the close of this year, this government would have invested 140 billion Ghana cedis in education. 5.7 million young people have benefited. When it comes to TVET, we used to have about 60,000 young people in TVET. Now it's 160,000 young people in TVET. Oh, I know you. Just give me a few. And the last comment that I want to make, because of free SHS, my brother, listen to me. Because of free SHS, now we have gender parity. Now for every 100 boys in school, we have 106 girls. Before it was 68 to 100 boys, 68 girls. Because of free SHS. Fight me for what?
They were already...
What?
Please take your 2 minutes.
Fight me for gender.
We're talking about galamsey. We have all the time for... Please. 2 minutes on this. Now you taxi, they are joining the fray.
Roland, I have another TV.
Listen to...
Roland, I have another TV.
You can't walk off the set. It's a bit unprofessional.
The hypocrisy of all of this is that the blame has been laid at the doorstep of this regime.
No.
There were evidence of videos that showed even our river
governments can do better.
Mr. Tonto, let's not be disruptive. When you were talking,
okay, sure.
That showed,
and I said let's not go personal. We just speak to the issue.
There were videos that showed how our water bodies were in 2016, as of even February, March, compared to 2017, 2018 till date. 2 days ago, I was in Amenfi in the western area, Enclave there. we had a president who was such a hypocrite enough to state that, he was ready.
Was a hypocrite?
So let me define for you. He was ready to put his presidency on the line in the fight against Galamsey. This is the result today. What has happened to the presidency he has put on the line? Destroying our water bodies. You guys spent a lot of money to procure drones, $12 million or $2 million, what have you. What are we seeing today? Do you know what is happening? The unfortunate thing is that when even these Galam stop operations, etc. go on, have you ever heard them say they have arrested people and they have seized this amount of gold? Yeah. No, one. Now, most of the people they arrest and prosecute, these are innocent people who are even working as laborers.
I don't understand. You mean they are not the kingpins?
They are not the kingpins.
But how let me get innocent? What are you talking about?
So suddenly you now know.
So are they those people you want to give amnesty to?
So these are people who deserve that. They deserve it.
What are you saying?
If you can arrest Aisha one, and the president will tell you he's not on top of issues. He didn't know whether he left the country, whether she left and all that.
Mr. We agree that you give him his 2 minutes so that we all end this
discussion. For 2 minutes.
Oh, really?
Alikam, let's go.
And names such as Solomon Goze, Ryan Goze, the Cynthia Agboada, etc. From the Fourth Estate exposés, that showed these guys linked to about multiple mining concessions. From 2022 to 2023 alone, just within a year, 10 companies have been granted a license to mine in our forest reserves. Over 38 forest reserves, the size of... You see, don't be a hypocrite.
Please, go ahead.
You failed to mention a single name.
Go ahead.
You failed because you feared them. Maybe you are even benefiting from them. Maybe you are benefiting from them.
You are making a point. Now,
look, these guys went as far as even procuring and donating 3 saloon cars to the Ghana Armed Forces in 2020.
Roland, I want to know if the license include the one they gave to.
They also built
the bauxite one you gave in Minahini.
They built a 100-bed hostel for Ghana Armed Forces at Michelle Camp. So you see, when people of this nature begin to support state apparatus, then there's a huge problem. And you have people within. They've mentioned Sampine, your parliamentary candidates, and Esprimpong, the Western Regional Minister, who went to meet the people and tell them that, look, we have halted the operation. Galam, stop everything. Go out there and mine. In less than 24 hours, military personnel were attacked. Imagine you step out there, step out here. Angry citizens go and lynch you. Will you be happy? I am telling you this because I'm telling you this because don't try to sit on this platform and make it look like you condemn it, but suddenly you want to make a reference to Look, what the extent of damage being done to this country.
Into the world of Dewa 539 for your chance to win big with Dewa Direct and Dewa Chop Money. Now with Dewa Direct, you have to dial *446#. You choose the range of the numbers 1 to 39. You get to win big 20 times, 40 times, 400 times your stake. And you win cash every evening at 7 p.m. and on Sundays at 6 p.m. Now, early bets also love Dewa Chop Money. And at 10 a.m., the draws will be made. All you need to do is to make sure you dial again *446#. You choose range of the numbers 1 to 39. You're going to win 20 times, 40 times, 400 times your stake. You're going to play online too. It's available. Dewa-nla.com is the site. Make sure you visit there. And please also get interactive. When you visit there, you get customer information as well. Do you know people like Francis Owusu Chow and all those people? We're taking a break. We'll be right back.
Nananom say omuhia banku ane tilapia baako banku no kra ye ne mienu
ndro na mede fufu ne ba no
wan na fufu na ba na na dedem mo tia Kevin kra wani ode ne nsa wo mu a ene oja si ho
kofabla ja se de wu chenyi wani mu no oye de obeye tilapia no de ko fofote Ghana de bibila.
Making money shouldn't be this hard. Just reload and win cash in the Telecel More Money promo. Win daily and weekly when you reload your mobile and broadband bundles. You can win up to 30,000 Ghana cedis weekly or the 1 million Ghana cedi grand prize. The more you reload, the better your chances of winning in Telecel More Money promo. Dial *500# or opt in on the Telecel Play app for free. Telecel, connecting energies. This promo is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas Lottery platform.
Prophecy time.
Abraham and Sarah, Mubanya twins. Go and buy jacket. We are going to Canada. Hallelujah. The best boy, Master.